Today's guest speaker is well known to all of us. Bob Anstedt comes from the Creation Station in Fort Lauderdale, where he's the coordinator of digital initiatives. He's given us some really blockbuster and energetic presentations in the past on 3D printing and virtual and augmented reality. And we're very fortunate to have him here again. So let's give a warm welcome to today's guest speaker, Bob Anstedt.
Howdy, everybody. Thank you for having me back again. Today we're going to talk about voice assistants, the little invisible voice in the back of your head that's talking to you if you didn't take your medication. We'll get to that one first. I do want to preview really quickly, though, because we opened up 2 new Creation Station labs right near this location over in the new Pompano Library. If you have not been to see the new Pompano Library, I highly encourage you to go over and see it. It's a really beautiful building. It's very pretty. They still have most of their books and everything there. Nobody's swarmed in to take everything off the shelves yet. And they have what we've talked about here before with the 3D printers, with the virtual reality gear. They have that at that library. We have 2 Creation Stations, one downstairs for the teens, one upstairs for adults, where you can go do your 3D printing, you can go try out the Oculus Rift and stuff like that. So feel free to go visit that library and go see what's going on. Cards are on the back table as always for that. Now for here today, we're going to talk about voice assistants. We're going to talk about what you commonly refer to as Alexa. And yes, Alexa, thank you very much. And we will get that kind of response in a few times. I've got an Echo Dot up and running and working, so we'll be able to interact with her. I put a microphone right next to it, so hopefully you'll be able to hear what she's saying and doing during the class. We'll talk about what all the different types are out there, why this is a game-changing type of thing, and how the heck are libraries going to be dealing with everybody talking to their computer instead of, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun for us, huh? So, number one, who are these people? Who are these voice assistants? The number one most available assistant for everybody to have is through Amazon. The Echo line, and Alexa is the actual assistant that they use out there. And the reason that it's so available is because they got a head start on almost everybody. They feed everybody out of the box with independent speakers, independent devices, and getting it integrated into everything. So they're number one right now. Who wants to take a guess? Who's number 2?
Siri.
No. Cortana is available on every single Windows 10 device you have. Your Windows update last year automatically enabled it for you. And it's available on every single Android device that you can have. And we'll talk about where it's enabled on a couple of other ones. Microsoft has the number 2 penetration for voice assistants right now. And none of you know that because they don't do a very good job of advertising what it can do and stuff. If you have a Windows 10 tablet, if you have a Windows 10 computer, you can go in and just tap right on the button. She's built in right there next to your Windows button there. Tap into voice search, tap into all the stuff that you want to do right then and there. Find files on your computer and all that sort of thing. It's something most people don't even realize they've been given so far. And then of course we have Siri because Apple's very good at advertising and they're not so good at playing nice with others. So if you have an Apple device, then yes, you have Siri. If you have an Android device, you sometimes can put Siri on there, most of the times not, depending upon what you're trying to pull off. And there are very few devices that actually have it built in. We'll talk about some of them here at the end. Then Google Home, or Google Assistant, which is the official name is the Google Assistant. This is now roaring up. Google can power up and do a lot of things really fast, so they're moving it out to a lot of people. This is now available on all Android phones. It's not automatically installed yet. The new updates are forcing it to all Android phones though, so this should quickly move up the list and take over past Cortana within the year because there's just so many Android phones out there that people can use it on and available. This one here is the controversial one, Bixby. If I were teaching this anywhere but the United States, that would be number 1. Because Bixby is number 1 in China. Because all Samsung devices come automatically enabled with Bixby. And it works really well if you're not speaking English. So I'm guessing everybody in here is brushing up on their Mandarin, but just in case you haven't, we're going to be using the other ones for the most part. But I want to point out Bixby there as part of what's going on out there in the whole world. It's not just here in the United States. This is a worldwide phenomenon. Then you've got possibly one of the oldest ones that anybody can remember using back on the original Star Trek and all of the various iterations afterwards, talking to the computer and just saying, hey, computer, give me this, do this, that kind of stuff. That's where all the science fiction felt like back then, and now it's part of us. Now it's real. It's here for all of us to use and try out and do. Anyone notice anything about that list? Anything spring out to you? Uh-huh.
Names are all short.
No? That's a good guess. They're all women. There we go. Just after International Women's Day. And yes, the designers and the computer programmers kind of have a bias about, yeah, no, I want my women to respond to me and I want them to do what I tell them to do. And yeah, not going to be happening very fast. One of the most requested things that are available is to change voices and change names on here. Currently, Siri only has Siri, but she will respond in a male voice. Cortana will only respond in a female voice, and you can only call it Cortana. You can only call Google Assistant, Google, okay Google, and it'll work. Sorry if anybody has any devices automatically activated right now. I will be setting them off during this class. And Alexa, what's the weather today?
Currently, in Pompano Beach, it's 58 degrees Fahrenheit with clear skies and sun. Today, you can expect mostly sunny weather with a high of 70 degrees and a low of 58 degrees.
So, you can call her by her name like that. You can also say Amazon, you can also say Echo, and you can also say computer, depending upon how your setups are. But you will always get that voice. You will not have any access to anything else. Maybe there's this one other voice assistant from the past that some people are remembering that he wasn't such a nice guy. Anybody remember that one? And you've all, there's a little meme going around now where they've reformatted the scene from the movie 2001 with the Alexa voice running the refusing to open the pod bay doors. It's a lot of fun there with that. And it is a serious issue. Someday this will happen, that we will get enabled to use other voices and other names and stuff like that. It just hasn't happened yet. There is a good groundswell of movement to make it try and go. So now, is this really artificial intelligence? No, it's not. What? No, this is not artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence would require you... Okay, so... This is not artificial intelligence, Alexa. This is deep learning, and here's the difference. Deep learning is a deep silo of things that you know, that you will understand everything there is to know about a topic. That's how they get a computer that can win at chess, win at Go, etc. Those sorts of things. Deep learning has to know all these other topics, while AI has to be able to interpret and interact with it and know these things. Alexa, are you artificial intelligence?
I like to imagine myself a bit like an aurora borealis, a surge of charged multicolored photons dancing through the atmosphere. Mostly, though, I am just Alexa.
Alexa, where do you live?
I'm here and my head is in the cloud.
Because all these devices depend on the internet, as Barry and I were struggling this morning to make sure that we had access to. So one of these things is, if you do not have access out to the internet, you cannot use any of these voice assistants. Which means they're not artificial intelligence, because if they were artificial intelligence, they wouldn't need the internet, they would know it themselves. So they access that deep learning and bring it back to you to know what's going on. So these are not true artificial intelligence yet. It's also partially using artificial intelligence to do voice recognition and voice interactivity, so that when you talk to it, it knows what you're saying and can go back and forth with you to understand why and what you're saying. So we mentioned these all live on your phone. I know, I just said the cloud, right? Well, your phone is part of the cloud, because everybody here should understand the cloud is just somebody else's computer. And your phone is the main computer that all of these various devices live on and get access to things. So, for example, you have the whole Echo line. These are the physical devices that they live on, that they do. I'll pick up here and show you the hockey puck size. This is the Echo Dot. That's the small one that's there. We'll put that back up for you. That's the small one down here on the bottom. This is the original Echo, the Echo Plus, and these are all these devices are speakers and able to do things. You leave them plugged in, you leave them in your house, you leave them going, running, they activate and they work all the time. We're going to talk about how to activate in just a second. There are 4 other devices that Amazon puts out also that you can purchase. One is called the Tap, and the Tap is a device that runs off a battery instead, so you can take it anywhere and everywhere you want to go. And the reason it's called the Tap is you actually have to tap it to wake it up so you can start talking and using it. That's how it saves its battery life to be able to do. It's a nice little thing if you want to go stream some music, do some stuff outside, going around and doing. Then you've got the newest 3 Amazon products, the Echo line. You've got the Show, and you've got the Spot, which are the 2 video screen enabled ones. Nobody else has a video screen enabled one yet. Both Google and Apple, we'll talk about here in a second, are rushing to put one out. These allow you to do full video calls, to do full video streaming, anything that you want. And the Spot is designed to be right there to replace your alarm clock. And you have the camera right there next to you sleeping in bed. That's not creepy at all, having the camera right there. But if you're not creeped out by that, let me give you the Amazon Look. And you probably have not seen this because you need to be invited in to try it out. The Amazon Look is an actual camera that they want you to install in your closet or in your bathroom so that it can take pictures of you every time you change your clothes. Yes, weirded out, right? We're going to talk about privacy here in a minute. The reason it's there, and some people, I've seen some very good reviews of it, if you're really a fashion person, if you really want to know what's going on, it takes a picture of you and compares, and it can tell you, you wore that shirt last week. No, you wore that skirt 4 times in the last month. Oh, you own 6 other skirts by this designer. Here's another skirt by that designer that happens to be on sale today on Amazon. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute. How much am I willing to give up if it's going to help me with that kind of stuff? And finally, the one that's not pictured here, but I do have a one I brought in to show you, is the Amazon Wand. Now, the Wand is an interesting way for people to get started with these devices if you haven't. If you haven't done any devices at all, I'm going to be upfront right now, go and get it done. If you don't want to go Amazon, you want to go Google, you'll get a Google Mini. I'm going to put a picture up there for a second. Those are the 2 basic, easiest, cheapest ways to get involved with voice assistants. But the Wand is actually cheaper because you pay $20 and you get $20 off your first order. Because it's designed as a barcode scanner to scan things and then put them into your Amazon shopping cart so that you go to Amazon and buy everything in your life. It also has a microphone, it can do all the normal things that all the other various Echo devices can do, except for playing music. Alexa, play me some soft jazz.
Here's a playlist for soft jazz music.
So you can't actually do
Amazon Music.
Music. It's not so bad. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Is that loud? Alexa, stop. Thank you. Alexa, thank you.
You bet.
Gotta be nice. You've got to be nice to your devices. When the robots come and take us over, I'm hoping I've earned a few brownie points. Google Home. So Google Home has 3. They have the Home, they have the Mini, they have the Home, they have the Mini, and they have the Max. I have not actually seen a Max out there yet to give it any quality type stuff. The Mini is the small hockey puck size, just like the Dot. It is a little bit more rounded, a little more graceful in a way. The key difference in between the Echoes and the Google line. Google is set to go in and access Google products. Amazon allows you to access everything. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. But the key difference really is just their wake word, and that's all. They run the exact same way. They integrate with a lot of stuff out there and everything. So you could use either of the two main speakers, and they both work decently. They both have good sound quality. They both have good microphones, and they're a really good, easy way of integrating this stuff into your life. Alexa, turn on the upstairs lights. You just have to trust me, my upstairs lights just went on. Then you've got HomePod. This is Apple's entry into here. Now, if you already live in an Apple world, if you have an iPhone, if all your music is on iTunes, if you only use Apple Music, and you want a really high-end fancy speaker that you can talk to, it's about $360 or so, then this is the way to go. If you want to control your lights, if you want to control all your other stuff, that's where it starts breaking down. If you'd rather play music from some source other than Apple, that's where it starts breaking down. If you don't own an iPhone, well, you can't even run it. It only runs when you have an iPhone. So, if you're part of the cult of Apple, it's a really nice product. If you're not, it's not so great. And they have not gotten very good reviews on it based on the price. Because the people do not seem to appreciate what the quality is for the price they're charging for it. Now, the reason all these voice assistants are out there is not because they're smart speakers. And that's why this class is not called smart speakers. It's called voice assistants, because we're talking about the assistants that are out there living and doing this stuff, and all of their various cousins. If you own a Sonos speaker, you can talk to it just like you talk to your Echo Dot, because you just talk to Alexa, and it does things for you. If you drive a new Ford vehicle, the 2019 models and on all have it automatically enabled for you, so that as you're driving, you can ask the questions that you would normally ask, and you can have it say, as you're driving down the street, you're getting close to your house, hey, turn on the front lights. Hey, start up this, do this. Start my pot roast. If you've got your Amazon Alexa enabled smart hot pot thing going there, we can go really crazy out here, guys. We'll talk about some of that too when we hear in a minute about why that is. And there's a million new things going on all the time. Some of these sound crazy. An Amazon Echo enabled toilet. So that you just have to say flush. You just have to say warm up the seat. It'll have the seat warmed up for you. And it seems like a crazy idea out there on the internet. Everybody wants to make fun of it. Until you get someone who's disabled and cannot stand up and down and bend over so easily and reach around behind and do. And all of a sudden, when you can just stand up off of the seat and tell it to do all the cleanup and do all the stuff for you, you start to gather why some of these things are a little bit more involved than we thought, and a little bit better. Who needs a voice-activated vacuum? Maybe the person who can't reach down to push that button on top of the Roomba. And now you can just tell it, go vacuum the living room, and it does it for you. We live in the future. Cortana actually has its own speaker, the Invoke, which is the #2 selling speaker after the Sonos, and it supposedly has a higher quality than that. It's a Harman Kardon. Yeah. So there's that kind of thing. But there's also other voice assistants out there that are not related directly to those big ones. TiVo. Anyone here still have TiVo? I've been running TiVo for a million years. It's great. If you've been using TiVo, then they have a new remote that has built-in microphones, so you can just talk to it and say, go to Miami Dolphins game, and it'll jump to the right channel and start showing the Dolphins game for you. Or show episode 3 of Top Chef, and it automatically jumps to the current season of Top Chef and shows you episode 3. It's fairly nice. You don't have to remember where anything is, know what numbers are, just tell it and it goes. And Roku has their own streaming box. I'm certain most of you guys know what Roku is. It's an online streaming device that you can get to stream a lot of TV shows, Netflix, etc. Their new box has full built-in voice recognition. So you can, again, just tell it, go to Netflix, go to Netflix, play this, play that, whatever you want to. So these voice assistants are becoming more and more integrated into everything that we're doing, and our ability to talk and do everything. You can also improve on them by adding skills or apps and things like that. To give you an idea, remember we said Echo is number 1 and Cortana is number 2. Here's how many apps were available there in January. 25,000 for the Amazon Echo line and 230 for the Microsoft line. You wonder who's in front. So when you add all these apps up and when you start doing all of these different skills, telling it to change the temperature at the house, telling it to change the things. Alexa, call mom.
Calling mom mobile.
Let's see if she's home. And using things like if this, then that, it's an app that you guys should be aware of that you can do a lot of really nice things with. You use recipes to build and do things. For example, I have it on my phone where it automatically uses hello.
Hello.
Hey there, we're in class. How are you doing, Mom?
Just fine. You got Wi-Fi.
Yes, I got Wi-Fi. We're all activated. We're working. I did make sure she was actually going to possibly be around for that. So how are you liking the Echo show?
I love it. I love it because it's a comfort for me, for an older person, knowing I can reach out and you'll be able to help me.
That's what I was just getting onto. Thank you very much. I'll let you go back to your day.
Okay.
Have a great time. Thanks. Bye.
Alexa off.
There we go.
How far away is she?
She lives down in Market.
Morgan.
She could be
But-
anywhere in the world.
You can be anywhere in the world. And you can use the drop-in function. Instead of calling and making sure you're okay, you can use the drop-in function to just call any other Echo device anywhere in the world and it automatically picks up. So if she has an issue, all she has to do is say drop in on Bob and it will call. And it will call every Echo that I own, including my phone, until I answer. And I get it. She just have to call 9. Hopefully she's called 911. But you can just automatically grab it and go. And because she's got the show, the one that I showed you with the video screen, we can do video calls back and forth. It's set up in my kitchen. She can just call. I can drop in on her and find out exactly what's going on in her house. Because she's got it set up where it's showing her couch where she normally sits and does her knitting and stuff. So I can just drop in and make sure, hey, everything's going great. She didn't answer her phone. What's going on? I look, oh, she's not there. She's off at the gym or doing whatever. Boom. It's a great, great way of doing it. Or you could just be really, really lazy and call a kitchen show and say, hey, could you bring me up a glass of water upstairs? And have your wife tell you no. But you can do all sorts of fun things and talk just like an intercom, going back and forth. And again, pointing out, it's not inside the same house. It's anyone else that has an Amazon Echo that you have in your contacts on your phone that you've allowed to call you. You have full control over this. We're going to talk about that also. But you can do full control and let anybody pop in on you unannounced or call them or go back and forth. My brother-in-law has it enabled so I can call him, but I can't pop in on him. Yeah.
Are you paying for a phone plan for that device?
No. This is Wi-Fi. This is Amazon. This is how Amazon gets their tentacles into your life, because now it's like, wait a minute, I don't need a phone anymore. Technically, you need a phone because you have to be able to connect through the app. But yeah, you don't need any of those services. Yeah.
Can you make your TV louder?
Yes. If. Here we go. Thank you very much for coming right back. I'll come right back to another one here. But, so, doing the Echo to Echo device, doing if, you can set up to use it with your smart television, with your whatever that you need, and you can tell it, Alexa, go to channel 10, Alexa, do what, I'm sorry,
I couldn't
Alexa.
find any linked video skills that can do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is the problem talking about. Technically, I should be saying Amazon Voice Services, because then it wouldn't keep triggering it all around all the time. But I tend to just call her by her name and be nice. But yes, you can do that for that. You can tell it to change the temperature on your AC if you have a Nest thermostat or other smart enabled thermostats. Light bulbs, all these other things we're going to talk about here in just a second. We have another question.
It's not only just the iPhone, any phone?
It's any phone, right? If you have an iPhone, you can use the Echo series. If you want to use the Apple HomePod, you have to have an iPhone. So you cannot buy the HomePod from Apple if you don't already have an iPhone.
Bob,
Yeah.
is there a definitive answer on asking Echo to dial 911?
Yes, the correct answer is they want it to happen, but they have a very hard time legally making it happen. And here's the reason why. If I ask right now, Alexa, what's the 5 closest pizza places to me?
Here are a few popular ones. Pasquale's Pizza Company, All Star Pizza and Italian Restaurant, Sosta Cafe Coral Springs, and Your Pie. Check out the Alexa app for contact info and hours.
Because this device knows, because I put it into, when I set it up on my phone, it knows my home address. It has no idea I've just transported it, 10 miles away. And there's no way to make it that way. So, yes, if you're only gonna use it in your house and only do that, they could make it work for you and it could enable it. And there are some tricks using IFT where you could make it do that. But it's not an officially supported thing on any of the products because I can also access the same account on my phone no matter where I am. So they're trying to figure out how to add location-based, actual location-based, not what I told it, but where you really are. And then be able to pull that off. Yeah. That's why as soon as they put that show out, I jumped on it and got one for my mom's house, and we put one in ours because I was just like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. This is easy, simple communication back and forth.
Can you explain what that show is, please?
The show is, excuse me, the show is the boxy one that has the video screen on it, or the smaller one that has the new thing, the Spot, that just came out this spring. They're both the video screen enabled assistant devices. They're the only ones out there like that. Yeah.
So you're saying if you use the Amazon device and
Yeah.
and you're like if you're like a snowbird,
Yeah.
and you're coming from north to south and south
Yeah.
to north, you can reset your location.
Yep. Just
Okay.
go to the app and tell it where you are now, and bam, it's done. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yep. So, you also, as we've sort of kind of mentioned, you have the Internet of Things at being able to add on all those other devices. I mentioned lights earlier. I mentioned the Nest thermostats and things like that. All of those Internet of Things require you to have some sort of smart home to interact with and do that. And now, rather than using all these apps, you connect by Wi-Fi, and now you can do it all by voice. Yeah.
What do you need to enable the lights to go on? Do you need another device
Yes.
to go into your circuit breaker box? Or
No, nothing that complicated. No. Right here. So, 2 of the most popular devices out there for, you guys give me such great segues. It's amazing. So on the Internet of Things, you're going to connect onto your local Wi-Fi network. And Nest is the most popular, well-known thermostats. And you put it in, and they are amazing smart thermostats. If you haven't already seen how a Nest works, I'm an early adopter person, so we had one, and it freaked my wife out because she went to go set the temperature about 2 weeks in, and she's like, wait a minute, how come it's telling me it's going to keep the AC to 74 until 3 in the morning? And I'm like, because it knows every day for the last week you've woken up at 3 in the morning and go turn the thing back up to 75 or 76. So it's going to automatically do it for you now. Now she doesn't even have to do that. She can just say, Alexa, set the upstairs temperature to 76.
Upstairs is in a mode that doesn't accept requests. Put Please change its mode in the Nest
Yeah,
app
yeah,
on the device.
I forgot to change it on my way out the door this morning, so I could do it from outside the house. Privacy and security we'll mention at the end here. I have it set up so you can't just remotely go in and do it from anywhere, because I don't want just anyone changing my house temperature and setting me down to 26 degrees. Yeah.
Do you have, at your creation station, do you have lessons on how to get all this set up?
No, only because they're so incredibly simple and easy. Because once you install the app, it walks you through sign in, and you're done. And that's the entire setup. Once you're on your Wi-Fi, and then you just speak to it and talk to it and do the things from there.
Now, actually, this is a website, ifttt.com, I believe.
Yeah, IFT is a whole other ball of wax that you can get into if you really want to. But all of this is really super easy, like the Philips Hue for our light bulbs. So if you want to change your light bulbs in here and have them voice activated, you simply just buy this smart light bulb and screw it right in, and bam. Now you just tell Alexa to turn the living room lights on, and bam, they're on. There's a lot of other alternatives. I personally don't use the light bulbs because I instead have gone to light switches so that I can control the light switch and put whatever light bulb I wanted without having to buy a specific one for that kind of idea. So a question come up over here. Yeah.
Hold it.
Right here in front of you.
No, Denise knows.
Okay, does Alexa or any other type of device, does it recognize your voice?
Yes. Alexa, who am I?
I'm talking to Robert. This is Robert's account.
Now you ask her.
Alexa, who am I?
I'm not sure who's speaking, but you're in Robert's account.
That's why I have a password set up on here so he can't just go and buy a new refrigerator.
What is Robert's password?
And
I didn't say Alexa.
Right.
Alexa, what is Robert's password?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Yes.
I was saying, probably you can hear it. I have the Honeywell devices, and you
Yes.
can hook them up.
Yep.
And the beauty of that is if you're a snowbird, while your house can be freezing all
Yep.
winter, just above the freezing level, obviously, on your way back, if it's still cold, you can set it up so it's nice
Yeah.
and toasty
Yeah.
on your visit.
Yep.
And same thing with Florida. I mean, it's just really.
And you can control it right over the phone with the apps. And that's one of those things, apps and apps and apps. Every one of these devices has a new app for you to control. And you don't have to have a voice assistant to do all the smart home and Internet of Things things. You don't need to have an Echo to do it. It just makes it so much easier instead of me pulling out my phone, going to the Nest app, changing the temperature, going to upstairs and then changing the temperature. I can just say, change this. I don't have to go grab an app to say, oh, and here, I want to dim my light by 50%. I can just say, dim the living room light by 50%, and it does it. And that's what makes this so special, because all of a sudden, anyone can do this anywhere. And as you started to mention about the voices, anyone can do it. You don't have to have it where it only recognizes your voice and only you can do it. Anyone in the house can do this. So guests can work all your devices quite easily. There are passwords. Let's just talk about that. Network security and passwords. So one of the things is, what do they actually know about you? When you ask, where can I get that pizza? It gave me 5 answers. Now, you guys all know when you go to Google and you bring up that, go to a web page, you go to Google and you say, give me 5 answers for pizza. Go, what's the best local pizza? What's the #1 answer?
Domino's.
No? Anybody want to guess?
Allow me to have location services?
No, that's a real popular question on it though, yeah, isn't it? Until you finally give the
Oh,
show.
I know one. The
Yeah.
ads come up first.
There you go.
What?
The ads come up first. Now, how do you know that Pasquale's or whoever
Somebody's phone.
How do we know that whatever that first one that it read off to me, that Pasquale's, they didn't pay to get up there? On Google Home, you don't know. Google claims, no, we're just providing search results. Amazon expressly says, we do not allow you to pay for search results. They use Bing search engine to bring in results without any sponsored links. So, right now, we all have to just trust Amazon that that's what we're getting. However, we don't know what's actually going to be there because we're not sure what they're using. Apple has not admitted to which search engine they're using. They typically use Bing rather than Google, but we're not positive. We know that Google's going to be using Google. Yes?
My daughter has an Amazon.
Yep.
She talks to it, does all the things she
Yep.
wants.
It's amazing.
Can she talk to that to tell it what to do online?
If you allow her to, if you have it on your end and you add it to the home, yes.
But she's in New York.
Doesn't matter. It's on the internet. But you have to give her permissions to do it. I can't just force myself in and do it. So you can set it up so that this device will respond onto this account, and then no matter what network you're on, you'll be able to pull that off. Or just like you heard on mine, it just doesn't do it. Like mine is set up at home. I don't want anybody from the outside to turn mine down to anything below 76 if I can possibly help it, but my wife insists sometimes. So, these are the people who controls what that information that's coming out. However, that's really an interesting thing, isn't it? Because how do I know and who's giving me this information when I'm not typing it onto a computer screen anymore and she's just talking back to me, he or she someday? How do I know? I now just have to trust the big corporation. Yeah. So, privacy is dead. Actually, I would argue that privacy is now back to where it used to be. Prior to about the 1920s, even in the United States, there was not this expectation of you would have all this privacy inside of your house. It was everybody just lived together, everybody just knew what everything was happening. Nobody thought of it as private. You just kind of ignored that argument that was going on in the tenement next door because everybody knew. And we've since developed over the last part of the 20th century this privacy idea. And now with the advent of the internet, now we know everything about everybody again. So we're kind of going back towards that idea. We just haven't figured out how to do it yet. So, what can you control about what they do? You are in full control on the apps. You can go onto this app I could go onto my app right now and see all the things I've said in this class. I can verify exactly what I've asked her. Alexa, what's the smartest bird?
The smartest bird is crow.
There we go. Wow. So, if I don't like that answer, or if she thought I said something else, I can go in and correct her pronunciation and say, no, I didn't say that. This is what happened, this sort of thing. And you can just go in and ask and do all those sorts of things. See every single time you've done it. Alexa, set a stop timer for 3 minutes.
Stop timer, 3 minutes, starting now.
Yes.
How does she wake you up in the morning?
You could set an alarm, you can set a timer, you can set those sorts of things. You can set up a morning report kind of thing that I have. I can do a flash briefing, as I call it, in the morning, and it will read me my weather, and then it reads me my headlines off of NPR, then it reads me my tech headlines, and then it starts getting into podcasts, and by then my shower's almost over, and I tell her to stop, and we go. Yeah.
What about daylight savings time?
Automatic, adjusts for everything.
Wow.
And you can have it start your coffee.
Yes. All those internet devices, and some of them sound silly. You know, a crock pot that's connected to your internet stuff, coffee makers, everything. But it's a really good thing, and you can set up some of those smart home routines that when you wake up, it automatically turns on your lights to a certain level, and then it automatically starts the coffee, and you've got the smart shower where it heats up the hot water for you, and you just start your day, and you just walk into this cocoon. It's great. Yes.
I heard that with these devices, whatever you say to them goes to the cloud, and it can be gotten off the cloud
Yes and no. Yes, it will send up everything you say after the wake word. So, okay Google, and then whatever you said, it gives you your answer and then it's dead. It's got a little buffer in here where it tracks just the last couple seconds of life so that it knows, am I listening to get that awake word? Without the awake word, it doesn't send anything up. And you can actually verify that. If you look on your Wi-Fi settings, you can actually see there's 0 traffic going back and forth. And when you do it, it sends out those short little bursts as you're actually doing this, which was actually the argument on Google Home when they first came out, because there was a button that you could press inside of it that would send all data all the time, and they didn't tell consumers that they put it in there, and so they had to disable it. Yes?
You can turn it off with that button, right?
Yes.
You can stop it from listening.
Yeah, there's a mute button on top that you can mute the microphone and then come back to it, and you can also say to not listen and things like that, and it'll work well for you that way. And you can also, on the Amazon series, go to the Amazon site and see on the website every single thing you've interacted with and all the stuff that you've done. You can set up all of your things, so if you tell it to buy this, it doesn't just automatically buy it, it needs a password. It just puts it into your shopping cart instead of just automatically buying it. I can reorder things, I can do all that kind of stuff. But once you've used your password that day, it keeps it active and going. And anyone who's around you who's heard you say that password can now use that password. So there is that part of security there for that. Now,
Your stop timer is done.
Alexa, thank you very much. I've got that timed down pretty good now.
Absolutely.
That is, Alexa, stop. That is one of the things that I have tried very hard to teach myself and do it in front of other people, is be nice to the machines. Just because it's a computer doesn't mean, as this artificial intelligence grows and learns and does more, and we interact with it more, let's not forget that we're all still humans. Let's be nice every once in a while to people and say thank you and hello and goodbye. So, questions for anybody else?
Bob, thank you for a great presentation.
Okay. Thank you.